In a season that has featured one of the most entertaining rookie classes in recent memory, Deandre Ayton, the young man who was taken first in the 2018 NBA Draft, has, for the most part, operated outside of the spotlight. Like his peers, the good has come with the bad. The highs have come with the lows. But have we been unfairly hating on Ayton? Is there actually a diamond in the rough in that cave of wonders that we call the Talking Stick Resort Arena? This is the Rookie Midterm, a series where we revisit and assess the early returns of some of the most prominent faces from the loaded 2018 NBA Draft. In Part 3, we're going to take a closer look and chart the Year 1 progress thus far of one Mr. Deandre Ayton. Much like a nice pair of Jordan 1s, an imposing, agile, and skilled 7'1" player with good hands is something that never seems to go out of style. While there's been plenty of hand-wringing about Deandre Ayton's inability to fit the idea of the modern big guy, his seemingly throwback offensive strengths are demonstrated and largely efficient. Deandre is, first and foremost, a scoring face-up or post-up center that can do work in ISO situations. As a rookie, he's already one of the most efficient post-up scorers in the NBA. He's posted up on 29.1% of his offensive possessions, and he's scoring 52.3% of the time, only turning it over on 1 out of every 10 times on those types of possessions. If he does his work early and catches the ball deep, he's very competent and skilled as a scorer near the rim. Although at times he looks like he's running with a mech suit on, Ayton also has surprisingly good balance and touch, even when he's moving at full speed. He can wrangle tough passes, and he has good body control when attempting to tap in missed shot attempts. When I was a kid, my dad liked to say to me, "Kyle, take all you want, but eat all you take." This might explain why I got so fat in college, but staying on topic, Ayton is eating on a lot of what he takes. You're not seeing a lot of waste in his game, even as a rookie. He's averaging 16.2 points per game on 7.1 of 12.2 shots, primarily scoring at the rim and in the mid-range. Among rookies, he's third in field goal percentage and on a more dynamic sample of shot types, that is, more than just dunks, when compared to the players that he trails. You could easily make the argument that he should be shooting more. Granted, Ayton is likely not going to be able to eat much more than he's fed. He's not an off-the-bounce creator in any sense other than when he's operating after the catch. Unlike the KDs, Giannis's, and Porzingis's of the world, he needs the ball thrown to him. Since he's not a high flyer or a functioning stretch 5 at this point, something that we'll address later, Ayton seems most comfortable operating out of the high post, where he can work his way into his own offense and create out of dribble handoffs and set screens. He's a capable passer with a promising court sense that's coming along, albeit not a high-level playmaking big man. I also think that he could become an effective outlet passer in time. This is an area where I think that he could really grow and gain value. For all of his strengths, there are some equally troubling concerns that make Ayton a tricky player to project and potentially build around. Deandre does not protect the rim to the extent that you would hope for a guy of his size. He gets shot over, lobbed over, and passed around way too much. Even just among rookies, he's 8th in block shots per game, and Phoenix as a team is last in the NBA in giving up points in the paint, 29th in second chance points, and at the rim they're in the bottom 5 of the NBA in defensive differential, field goals allowed, and overall defensive rating. He doesn't deserve all of the blame, but the paint is an open door in Phoenix, and the Suns are cool with just about anybody coming inside and putting their feet up. That said, even an out-of-position young 7-footer could be expected to fly around and create some havoc with his length, but we've seen very little of that from Ayton. His sense of defensive position has improved over the course of the season, but there are still just way too many instances of him being late to the scene of the crime. Leading up to the draft, we were told, and never actually shown, that Ayton's vertical was above 40 inches. Even if this is true, having an elite tool like that at your disposal and having the ability to utilize it in a meaningful setting are two different things. We often talk about quick twitch athletes, but the opposite is something that I call a quick sand twitch athlete. And Ayton falls somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. He's not as explosive and bouncy as someone like Mitchell Robinson, but he's not as lumbering and slow as a guy like Boban. He can survive in the NBA, but he's going to be forced to follow the model of guys like Steven Adams or Al Horford if he wants to become a high-impact, winning player at his position. Additionally, although it would seem like he's capable, he does not currently shoot threes at all. He's only attempted 4 this season, usually when the shot clock is expiring, and he's missed all 4. Ayton's mechanics are the likely culprit. He doesn't seem to leverage the strength of his frame in the way that he transfers energy from his legs to his shoulders. And even though a lot of his face-up jumpers go in, my oh my does that make the arc of his shot flat. Even his makes look like they're barely getting there. His shot is flatter than Michael B. Jordan's performance in Creed 2. Just my own armchair psychologist observation, but Deandre seems like an especially affable but sensitive kid, and I wonder if that's playing a part in some of the frustration from Suns fans this season, who were hoping to see a guy of his size and skill impose his will a little more. Some guys are just born with that doggedness, that motor to flip the table over whenever they don't enjoy the way the cards are being dealt. Does Ayton have that in him? Is there alpha in his DNA? He's even admitted that deferring as a rookie is on his mind, talking about what guys will try to take away from him. No, screw that, Deandre. You're the Bahamian behemoth. Get nasty. I mean, the big nasty is over there sitting on the Suns bench, so there's no excuse. Start playing through guys' chests. Start living at the line.
Let the cat out.
Who is kicking themselves? Who is kicking themselves, baby?
Since Phoenix picked first, the calculus here is simple enough. They are the only team that is potentially kicking themselves. The problem seems to be that Phoenix is kicking themselves so frequently that it's impeding their ability to do anything. They've had epic struggles in the lottery. They're currently not a free agent destination. They've been more or less publicly shamed for their lack of organizational stability, and their ownership has inspired a prevailing feeling of grumpiness in their fan base. The number 1 pick comes with a heavy burden of added pressure, both for the player, who has to play out their entire career with this number tattooed on their forehead, and for the team, who risks becoming a tired trivia question until the end of time. On paper, Booker plus Ayton fit the mold of some things that we've seen in the past. But in retrospect, why was everyone so sure about that? Was it really so obvious that Deandre was the clear-cut, no-brainer player in this draft at number 1? Or was the public repetition of that idea so ubiquitous that we just accepted it as fact? Ayton is not an ideal pick-and-roll partner for Devin Booker. He's not a natural fit as a floor spacer, and he's going to require some help in protecting the rim as they accrue personnel. It's highly unlikely that they address all of those concerns in the upcoming draft and offseason unless they somehow snag the number 1 pick again. Ayton is a guy that adds a viable offensive avenue for Phoenix long term. But until the Suns add additional shooting and secondary and tertiary playmaking, the jury is out on where and how often that avenue can intersect with Booker's strengths. Starting over is just not an option for the Suns. Not again. When you selected in the lottery in 9 of the last 10 NBA drafts, you would think that you'd be on the path to something resembling the promised land. But Phoenix has, painfully and fittingly enough, remained lost in the desert. I'm inclined to give Deandre Ayton a solid B+ on his midterm. Let's call it an 89. My feelings on Ayton have swung back and forth like a massive pendulum. Just when I feel like I can imagine a scenario where he's a dominant force in the NBA and a high-impact player, doubt will rush in and sweep me away, causing me to wonder if Ayton will ever be a number 1 piece on a title-contending team. My gut says no, but in a draft this historically good, that's the cruel bar that has to be set because of the guys that were drafted after him. Ayton is good enough to stick around in the NBA and be a very productive player for 10+ years, no problem, even if he doesn't see dramatic improvement. He's skilled enough as a player and perceptive enough as a person to address his areas of concern, but the Suns will have to do their part and improve his developmental context. Will he and Booker continue to evolve on the court as a lethal tandem? Will the contagious swagger of the Valley Boys infect the Western Conference or kill the host? Will Deandre avoid becoming the Andrew Wiggins of centers? Personally, I'm dying to be proven a skeptical fool. Let me know if you agree.